Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. We are Group 3 and now we will be diving into a discussion of the Child Protection Policy Malaysia.
Before we proceed with our discussions, let me introduce my team members. First, Muhammad ALIF, Muhammad HILMAN, HANA SHAFIQAH, NABILAH, NADIAH, and last, my name is NURUL SYAZWANI. So now, let's begin with the introductions Child Protection Policy in Malaysia.
Good afternoon everyone. So today I will explain the introduction of the Child Protection Policy in Malaysia. Public policy can be refers to the laws, regulations and actions created by the government to protect society. In Malaysia, the Child Protection Policy was officially introduced in 2009 and is based on the Child Act 2001 and also known as ADS514. The main purpose of this policy is to protect children from abuse, neglect and exploitation. It also aims to ensure children's safety, dignity, rights and well-being. This policy covers all children under the age of 18. Besides that, the policy involves many parties such as parents, teachers, non-governmental organizations, which is NGOs and welfare department. Everyone has a responsibility to help protect children and create a safe environment for them. However, the child protection also can be applied in many places, including homes, schools, hospitals, parks, religious institutions, and even online platforms. This is important because children are among the most vulnerable groups in society and may face different types of danger in daily life. Malaysia also strengthened their child protection laws through the Child Protection Act 1991 and later the Child Act 2001. These laws show the government's commitment to providing better and more specialized protection for children. In the end, the Child Protection Policy is important because it not only helps prevent abuse but also ensures quick action can be taken when cases happen. Protecting children requires cooperation from the government, organizations, families and the community to ensure every child can grow up in a safe and healthy environment. That's all from me and I will pass to Nadia to explain further.
Now, I'm going to present the core policy problem that led to the formulation of 2009 National Child Protection Policy in Malaysia. There are four major pillars of this problem. First, we look at the historical need for early intervention. For a long time, Malaysia child protection was purely reactive. This was tragically proven in May 1990 by the Bala syndrome case, where a 26-month-old toddler died after brutal torture. This case exposed a massive gap that our legal system lacked the strategy to define or prosecute such acts before they reach a fatal point. Even after the Child Act 2001 was passed, the system remained stuck in wait-and-see mode rather than building a preventive environment. The second problem is what we call the iceberg effect. Statistics from the Department of Social Welfare (GKM) reveal an alarming reality which 98% of abuse cases went unreported. Only 2% were actually visible to the authorities. This happened because there was no unified legal obligation for professionals like teachers or doctors to report suspected abuse. Without a standard reporting pathway, the state remained blind to the suffering of most victims. The 2009 policy was designed specifically to bridge this visibility. Thirdly, we address the digital frontier. Between 2005 and 2009, Malaysia witnesses a massive surge in digital accessibility. According to the International Telecommunication Union, (ITU), and the Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission (MCMC), internet penetration rate in Malaysia jumped to 50% during this period. This rapid growth created a new geography for abuse that traditional law never contemplated. With the rapid growth of the digital population, children become increasingly vulnerable to online bullying and the widespread of circulation of the child sexual abuse material. The core of the problem was a critical legal lack, as the Child Act 2001 was written primarily for physical safety and was conceptually unequipped for borderless virtual crime scenes. The government realized that physical law alone could not police the digital world, but also we need a comprehensive policy to integrate digital safety across all ministries. Finally, we address the social barrier, which is cultural apathy. In early 2000s, there was a strong mind your own business mentality where abuse was often seen as a private family matter rather than a public priority. Cases like the Richard Hacker case later proved that even with predator active in the community, silence often prevailed. The policy problem here was the lack of collective responsibility mindset. And the 2009 policy was created to dismantle this culture of silence and move society toward the collective vigilance. So now I will pass the floor to the next presenter, SYAZWANI, to discuss our policy objective.
Thank you, NURUL Nadia. Now I would like to explain the objective of the child protection policy in Malaysia. The first objective is to create a safe and a child-friendly environment. This objective focuses on protecting children from abuse, exploitations, neglect, and violence physically, emotionally, and psychologically, especially in the learning process. It is important because traumatic childhood experience can affect mental health in the future. Relating to the Balasundram case, it shows that Malaysia failed to protect child early because the system acted only after abuse happened. Therefore, the child protection policy was introduced to strengthen preventions, early interventions, and protections for all children. The second objective is to enhance research and development to improve protections for children. Research and developments help the governments understand the trends, causes, and risk factors of child abuse. Advanced technology also allows children to speak up and share their experience involving bullying and abuse. However, the iceberg effect shows that many abuse cases remain unreported because children are afraid to speak up. Therefore, research and proper data collections are important to identify hidden cases and improve protection systems. The third objective is to increase awareness and a commitment from various parties to protect children as a common responsibility. Children protection is not only the responsibility of the governments and the parents, but also educators, schools, communities, and NGOs. Awareness campaigns, seminars, educational programs, and a social media initiative can help society understand the importance of child safety. In today's digital era, children also face cyber threats such as online grooming, cyberbullying, and child sexual exploitations. Therefore, all communities must work together to protect children. The last objective is to protect every child from neglect, abuse, violence, and exploitations. This objective ensures that children are free from neglect and violence. Neglect from parents or guardians can affect children's mental and emotional developments. One major problem is a society attitude of considering abuse as a private family matter, causing many abuse cases to remain hidden. Therefore, the child protection policy aims to change society perceptions and encourage communities to recognize early warning signs of abuse and report them immediately. So, I will pass to the next presenter, Muhammad Alif, to explain further about strategy.
Good morning everyone. Thank you SYAZWANI. Now, I will present the policy strategies for strengthening the child protection in Malaysia. The first strategy is early intervention and prevention. This strategy focuses on identifying children who are at risk before abuse or neglect becomes more serious. Schools play an important role through school monitoring, where the teachers and counselors can identify signs of abuse at an early stage. In addition, legal protection such as the Child Act 2001 help authorities to take immediate action to protect children. The second strategy is strengthening reporting mechanism. This strategy aims to improve the reporting process so that abuse cases can be identified and addressed more effectively. Through multi-agency cooperation involving welfare agencies, healthcare institutions, schools and law enforcement, cases can be reported through proper channel. For example, Talian Kasih 15999 provides a platform for victims and the public to report abuse cases quickly and confidently. Next, the third strategy is digital environment protection. As children are increasingly exposed to technology nowadays, child protection policies must also address online threats such as online grooming, cyberbullying, and exploitation. Therefore, cyber safety laws and digital child protection measures are important in ensuring children's safety in the online environment. Lastly, public awareness and community engagement. So, these are important in child protection policy also. Through parenting program, awareness campaigns, and community responsibility, society can play a role in protecting children from abuse and neglect. These efforts help to create a safer and more supportive environment for children. I think that is all from me regarding the policy strategies. Now I will pass the presentation to Nabilah to continue with the policy evaluation. Thank you.
Now, let's look at the hard truth. When evaluating a policy, we cannot just look at the good intention on paper. We must look at the reality on the ground. Politically, I rate this policy as moderately effective. Why? Because while the government has shown high-level symbolic commitment through the Child Development Agency, the actual implementation is plagued by inconsistency. Look at the issue of underage marriage. There were 881 cases between 2022 to 2024. How can we claim a policy is successful when its enforcement varies so widely across different states? There is a gap in jurisdictional consistency. Furthermore, cases like the Bella abuse case, while not about marriage, represent the exact same system failure. It proved that our monitoring is delayed and our intervention is weak. The political will is there in words, but it is failing to reach the children who need it most. So, economically, this policy is minimally effective. We have a massive budget of RM6.75 billion, but where is it going? It is being used for crisis management to cleaning up the mess after the damage is done. We know that 1% increase in unemployment leads to a 1.28% increase in abuse. Yet, we are seeing enough proactive investment in the economic resilience of P40 families to prevent the stress that causes this abuse in the first place. So, we can say that the government is only treating the symptom, not the disease. Socially, this situation is just as frustrating. People argue that awareness is up because calls to Talian Kasih are increasing, but increase in reporting doesn't mean less abuse. 67 of our children are still facing physical violence at home under the term of discipline. This policy has changed how we report, but it has failed to change the toxic cultural attitudes behind closed doors. Moving to technology, we have the Online Safety Act 2025. It looks modern and forward-thinking, but the reality is that 1 in 25 children are still exposed to grooming. Look at the Mekyon case, where her childhood photos exploit in predatory groups with thousands of members, along with inappropriate sexual comments involving children. Our law exists, but our enforcement lags behind. The digital threat is evolving faster than our reactive government response.
Legally and environmentally, I must again give a rating of a minimally effective. We have amended 21 Difference Act, but look at the children living in a PPR flats. They are trapped in a crowded, hazardous conditions with a zero community supervision. The Child-Friendly Cities initiative is a nice headline, but it mostly implemented in a wealthy urban areas. Is our legal protections only for the rich? Because on the ground in a low-income housing, enforcement is practically invisible.
Based on this full evaluation, the Child Protection Policy Malaysia can be considered as moderately successful. It is because the overall policy is reactive rather than preventive. Now, I will pass to Hana for further discussion about the recommendations.
Thank you, Nabilah. I will proceed with the policy recommendation. To make child safety a real national priority, Malaysia need to move beyond fragmented initiatives and look at the bigger picture. Our recommendations employ a holistic approach, utilizing various policy levels to build a complete protection ecosystem for children. Starting with the technological level, we advocate for a compulsory online reporting mechanism inspired by Ireland. We look at Ireland because it serves as the European headquarters for many of the world's most popular tech companies. Because of this, Ireland has established strict regulatory frameworks to ensure these actors actively monitor and report child exploitation content. As in Malaysia, our current approach is far too reactive and report-based only. We rely on the public to voice out issues instead of having a proactive system in place. The policy action that Malaysia could consider is incorporate a specific provision into the Communications and Multimedia Act (CMA). This would legally require ISPs, such as TM and MADSIS, to be responsible for filing child sexual abuse material reports, ensuring digital accountability is built into our law. Secondly, we look at the social and ethical level through the subsidiarity principle used in the Philippines. The Philippines manage this through the National Authority for Child Care, or we call it as NACC. They strictly follow the subsidiarity principle, which mandates that a child must only be placed for international adoption if a suitable family cannot be found locally. A major hurdle is that Malaysia has yet to ratify the Hague Adoption Convention 1993. Furthermore, our current process is heavily centralized and lacks transparency, which makes it difficult to track and match children with local parents effectively. To overcome this hurdle, we must simplify our legal framework to ensure we truly honor the spirit of the Hague Convention. By prioritizing local families, we preserve the child's culture and religion through family-based care. Third is the legal level, which is the statutory unification of marriage ages based on the Denmark model. As to elaborate, Denmark has set a strict absolute minimum marriage age of 18 years old for everyone. This removes any exceptions based on religious or cultural backgrounds to ensure zero loopholes in child protection. Malaysia deals with legal fragmentation, where different state enactments create discretionary loopholes that put children at risk of early marriage. As for the action, a critical policy intervention is needed to set a strict nationwide minimum marriage age of 18 years old with no exceptions, ensuring consistent protection for every child regardless of their state. Finally, we apply the administrative level through the institutionalization standards from Finland. Finland has transitioned from large state institutions to a system of normalization. This focus on small-scale community housing with professional social workers to ensure children grow up in a home-like environment rather than a dormitory. In Malaysia, The welfare sector is not well coordinated between the central government and the states. This is due to the overlapping supervision of responsibilities, which creates gaps in how care is delivered. We recommend a fiscal shift, redirecting government expenditure away from maintaining massive buildings and using those funds for direct subsidies to foster families and small community group homes.
I will conclude our presentation on the Malaysia Child Protection Policy. The Malaysian Child Protection Policy is an important step in protecting the welfare, dignity and rights of children in Malaysia. The policy is based on the Child Act 2001 and was influenced by important historical events such as Balasundram case in 1990, which increased public awareness about child abuse and the need for stronger protection laws. This policy focuses on four main objectives. Firstly, is creating a safe and child-friendly environment. Secondly, is strengthening research and development related to child welfare. Thirdly, is increasing public awareness and responsibility towards child protection. And lastly, protecting children from all forms of abuse, neglect and exploitation. Many organizations work together to achieve these goals, including the Department of Social Welfare, Suhakam, UNICEF and various NGOs. Their cooperation helps improve child protection through legal reforms, technology, community involvement and better coordination between agencies. However, there are still challenges in Malaysian child protection systems. One major issue is underreporting, where many abuse cases are not reported. This situation is known as the iceberg effect because only a small number of cases are visible while many others remain hidden. In addition, the growth of the digital world has also increased online crimes against children, which can be difficult to control using traditional laws alone. Malaysia has made good progress in strengthening child protection laws and raising public awareness. However, continuous effort, cooperation and innovation are still needed. Child protection should not only be seen as a family responsibility, but as a responsibility shared by society. Every child deserves a safe environment where they can grow, develop and achieve their full potential. That's all from us. Thank you very much.